All right. What are we doing here?
Oh man, we want to talk about a couple things.
But first, we're going to reveal a secret.
Yes. Which one?
We're not hiding anymore. If you notice, we used to change shirts and try to disguise the fact that we were doing, 2 or 3 podcasts on one day.
I don't know why you're giving away our secrets.
Hey, man. The only thing that's changed is the backdrop, okay?
Maybe I just wore this shirt for a different day.
Yeah, maybe it's been, a week, and we're just in that cycle of laundry. We're wearing the same clothes.
Yeah. Maybe I'm proud of my Maxis flannel here.
Yeah, and you should be.
Find yours at Maxis.com.
Very handsome.
Maxis.
Yeah.
Maxis. I don't think it's on camera, but it's right there.
What are we talking about?
Other than our dirty secrets? Man, you wanted to talk a little bit about ORIs.
Yeah. I do. I think.
Yeah, let's talk about ORIs and where we stand with them at this point.
So,
talk to me a little bit about your build when you were thinking about
back in the day,
going to a 4-link front and rear.
Yeah, I had a lot of people telling me not to do that, not to go with ORIs, that I should be going with coilovers. And because, well, at least with my rig, right, I was inspired by a couple of guys.
Why? Because it's giant, black, and heavy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got him. I saw a couple of guys, that had done it, on the interwebs, and it made sense to me, right? You don't need limit straps. You don't need bump stops, right? You just eliminate these things. And, I mean, people are racing with them and having, in success. And they're not problematic in that environment. But maybe because it wasn't a rock crawling thing so much. At least in the world I'm in, the JKU world. Anyway, it's worked out great for me, and now it's pretty ubiquitous. Like, I get people asking me all the time about them, questions about them. So and I see them more and more. Like, so they're definitely.
He's had his so long they don't even make them in different colors anymore.
Yeah. But they're definitely outside that race world, and I think they perform great.
Yeah, for me, I think I like the simplicity of them, not the way they're built, but how you adjust them, right? You don't have to change springs, figure out what your spring. Like, I don't know how you do coilovers. Do you have someone that goes with you and says, yeah, you need to change them to this, or how do you tune them?
Well, I think in a perfect world, you do have somebody, and you go out and you tune them in the field.
But I don't live in a perfect world. How do I tune my coilovers?
No, sucks to be you.
Yeah, right.
You have to buy different springs and try different rates and get advice and try to dial it in without spending a boatload of money.
Right. And, with the ORIs, it's just pressure change.
Yeah.
A little bit more, a little less. Go out and try it. They make a portable tank. Or someone does. I don't even know who that portable tank's made by. Take it out with us, make the adjustment on the fly, go and try it again. And I like that it cleans up the things, like you said. For me, I don't have a very much lift. So I have a lot of shit in a small amount of space. So anything I can get rid of and that can be in one thing is great. So, I looking forward to maybe at some point doing my front with them.
Yeah, well, I think that's inevitable.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's changing. I'm glad people are asking you questions about it and that kind of stuff. And I think we'll be happy to, tell anybody at least our thoughts on it. But I don't really see a downfall. I mean, I don't even think the price is that much considering
No,
all the stuff you don't have to buy.
right. Yeah, if you put everything together on a more, I don't even want to say conventional because I think these are pretty mainstream at this point. But yeah, by the time you buy, if you're using a hydraulic bump or something else, it's, not fabricated, and you're spending money on that. You're spending money on limit straps. And it's a wash.
The adjustability is just crazy, right? When we set up my rear, we didn't have enough pressure in them. I was bottoming out. I told you, hey, it's not right. We need to adjust it. We added more pressure, and it's not bottoming out. I can go over bumps pretty well, at speed. It's great. Super easy to do. So I think they're a good product. I agree.
So there you go. We're not affiliated with ORI. By the way, it's just just observation.
Observation.
I'm running them front and back now. I ran them in the back for a year and a half or so, and then did the front, and yeah.
This is off topic, but it made me think about that with your front and the back. And I wanted to bring it up. I should have probably prepped you a little bit. We're going to go into it. What do you think about RTI ramps now? Is that for show, or does any of it matter to you now?
I think it's good for a temperature check, for lack of a better term. Like, because if you've been on one, and then you get a number, and then you do it a different time with a different configuration on your rig, it gives you a point of reference, I guess, a baseline.
Didn't you go down, though?
I did.
Isn't your Jeep more stable than it's ever been?
It is. But
right.
I don't know how much of that is due to the I guess what you're saying, and I can't argue against it, is that maybe the travel is not as important as the geometry and the stability.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The score doesn't matter. Just because right, like I could get up pretty high on them because my shit was all loose and not good. Right? Kind of like with you. You had a better score before we did everything. Once you did everything, your score came down. But your Jeep is performing exceptionally, right? It's hang that tire up as high as you want now, right? Until you feel that it's bad.
And even then, it's not.
Right, and it's
I mean, what's crazy is I look at, photographs or video from when we're out, and I can see from the outside, and knowing what I was feeling in the driver's seat,
doesn't match.
It doesn't match at all.
Right, it didn't feel that bad.
Like,
and you see the picture and you're like, ooh.
Or the opposite. It felt horrible, and I look at the picture and it's like, it's really not that bad. When I'm thinking I'm gonna flip over, and you guys are like,
yeah, come on, keep
going. And I'm like, you guys are insane. You're crazy people. Like, this shit's about to go backwards.
Yeah, and we're like, it's not even.
But I think too, that's, just talking about the last day we were out. It's just that spatial relationship, right? Like when your driver front is hanging and your driver rear is in a hole, and there's this line through the driver's seat, and you feel like you're looking straight down. But then I look at pictures from the outside, and it's like, it's not even close to that reality, right? It's so.
I don't know what you're saying. I don't sit on that side, so I don't ever feel that.
But going back to the RTI ramps, I think it's good, just as a personal reference point. But I think to your point is an indicator of
Anything
ability or performance on technical trails. Yeah, I don't know, maybe not.
I mean, I think it's good to check clearance.
Definitely good to check clearance.
Right?
But yeah, but maybe the number isn't directly related to performance.
Yeah. So
I don't know, but I can't argue your point because you may have touched upon something that.
well, I think it's about stability and working the geometry working, really, right? Like, just because you can get it all bunched up and spread out.
Let's talk about geometry.
Boy.
Let's talk about.
Look, I don't know if we're supposed to do this on podcast because I don't know when you're going to listen to this, but it was Pi Day yesterday, speaking of geometry.
As in the delicious.
Or the geometry.
Yeah. Well, which one?
Mathematical.
Which one is it?
3.14.
Oh, okay. So it's Pi Day.
Yeah.
As in mathematics.
Yeah.
Not as in Pi Town, New Mexico. There's
No.
a town in New Mexico called Pi Town.
They make good pies.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. My guys actually love going through there because they stop and get a pie. So.
All right. There you have it.
Yeah.
So this idea, okay, this is something I kind of struggle with when people are talking about builds and building, and maybe it's different if you have the shop and the tools and the experience and you're a skilled fabricator and not like the rest of us, right? You got some talent.
Yeah, you know what you're doing.
You know what you're doing, basically. But and this came up when we were out in at Wolf Caves. I have this platform that I had to start with that is, I would argue, not as conducive as your platform, which is the TJ. So I started with the JKU, and I'm still there, right? But it's gone from, this is this thing I'm gonna go camping, and I'm gonna put some, Brotopacks and a roof rack, and I'm gonna overland. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, but
That was a different time.
I got an introduction to crawling up some really today it's laughable, like a glorified curb. But that sensation of climbing and being uncomfortable and, letting this machine solve this problem for me, man, I was instantly hooked, right? And so now I have this, this, minivan that, I'm doing 8 and 9 rated trails with, wherever we go, and but I'm limited by that, right? So we built the suspension, we put the axles in it, like we've done all that shit, and knowing the numbers, right? Or and as far as degrees of separation and all this stuff for the suspension, but you get what you can get. Right?
It's a compromise.
There's always this compromise, right? And man, when I said I'm going to 4-link this JKU, everyone's like, "You're
In the front.
Yeah, you're crazy. Like nobody does that. You can't do it, right? There's a reason nobody does a 4-link in the front of a JKU. Well, I've been running a 4-link for how long? Like almost a year now?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And yeah, it wasn't easy, but we did it. We built it, right?
And there were some real things we had to try, right? Our biggest thing was getting, 40 degrees?
Yeah, trying to approximate that.
The triangulation with the room that we had.
Getting enough triangulation to do a double triangulated 4-link in the front. And yeah.
Right, that was our main thing, right? Like really, that was our focus because everything else would, the towers were going to go where they were going to go. There was no option, right? They only went one place.
Without a lot of modification.
Yeah, without.
That I'm not comfortable doing.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know if.
But
I mean, I guess it can be done, but.
And you see a lot of rigs out there that are, performing pretty well and doing, like not competition stuff. Like I think there's a point. Like if you're building a chassis and you're building a crawl or a buggy from the ground up, right? Like you can really hone in and focus on that stuff. But I think one of the things that's really intimidating for people, like, oh no, you can't do a 4-link in a JK, is that you're not going to get those numbers, right? Like the
Right.
anti-squat and the degrees of separation and all that stuff. You're not going to get that necessarily, but it's still going to work. You can still flex it, test it, before you commit, right? You can check your clearances and all that stuff. And you still have something that'll work.
Yeah, and I think that's you got to play the hand that's dealt, right? I think that's the thing, and I think it's really cool, right? Matt's building his buggy. I think that'd be a pretty cool experience, right? Having the space and the room and the opportunity to do it.
I'm super
close to these numbers as possible.
Yeah, I'm super excited to get on the trail with him.
It's really a cool idea, and not be limited. I'm sure there's still some limitations though.
Yeah, I
right?
mean, you get it as good as you can, right?
Yeah.
But if you read the forums and you research this stuff, it's very intimidating. You feel like I can't do this. This is impossible, And maybe because it is impossible, and you get it as close to that as you can, and run it, and see how it works.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of trial and error and trying to get as close as you can with the limitations. I mean, without doing buggy stuff, it's
your center of gravity is going to be. It's going to depend on a lot of things, like how wide are your axles. It all relates, right? If the width of your axles, the travel of your suspension, and the where's it going to hit the body? How much articulation are you going to have, right? Up travel versus droop.
Right, you got to give up something. Well, in our case, we have to give up something.
Yeah.
Right, and we're giving up travel.
I think what we're saying is, go for it. Give it a shot.
Yeah, I think it's always a compromise, right? We're looking at my front. I'm either going to have to compromise by lifting the Jeep up more to try to double triangulate it in the front, or run a bar lower than my belly to do it that way, right? There's a compromise. We're going to have to figure something out, and that's probably going to work okay. So, all right, that's good.
All right.
ORIs, right? We talked.
So one thing I want to ask people to comment on.
Okay.
I don't know if we've done this.
Okay.
But I'm really interested to know what gear do you carry in your rig on the trail that's like non-negotiable, must have. Like, we see so many people that are running so much leaner than we are in terms of what they're carrying, tools, parts, etc. Pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
You know who you are, everyone.
Like, we've got the kitchen sink, man. Like,
we were at Wolf Caves, and
yeah,
they're like,
oh, you got.
Do you have a bolt? Yes.
Yeah, we have bolts. We have,
Do you have well, we could cut it and make it shorter for you and weld the head back on. You have a welder on you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, an angle grinder, cutting wheel, flap disc, like all that shit. Like it seems crazy, but we've talked about this before. Like often it's just the two of us, and we're out in the desert. We don't really know where we are. We're figuring things out, and we're a long way. It's not like Moab or San Hollow where you can call somebody on the phone and say, "Come and drag my shit out of here and get me back to my trailer, or get me to a garage that can fix my stuff." We don't have that. So we have to try to be as self-sufficient as possible. And we burden our friends out here enough, without calling them every time we have a problem.
Yeah.
So what do you carry as far as tools, parts, equipment, whatever, in your rig versus if you trailer, what's back at your truck and trailer? We just we spent the day today. We put a bigger toolbox on my truck so we could carry more shit to have available at the air down in the trailer. Axle shafts, drive shafts, whatever.
And it's really, I think it's really interesting and or crazy, right? What would we have done in the squeeze if we didn't have all our stuff?
Yeah, that would have been really fucked up.
Right? Like, I just, not only do we use it for us, it's really been beneficial to other people to either limp them out or continue for the day. Right when we ran
Yeah, so what
with
Jason,
Dakota and them.
yeah, what Jason's referring to is, the trip when we went to the squeeze, and then the one where we went with Dakota and Chris and Mike and some other folks. We've had situations where the earlier trip, a guy's frame broke his frame.
Catastrophic.
Right? We were able to repair that on the trail. The subsequent trip, a guy broke his pitman arm. Luckily, I mean, Anthony was a
real welder.
A real welder.
And so was Bossman on the other one.
Yeah, but we had a welder. We had steel. We had, things that would have been catastrophic were repaired on the trail, and we kept going. So that's really the question: is where's the balance between all the weight? The weight of the shit I carry is definitely a detriment for extreme wheeling. Climbs and it's a factor.
What is the detriment? Look,
Gravity.
The lack of power, or can you feel your Jeep shifting because of it? What I mean, I know what you're saying, but I don't know what you're saying. I know you said weight, but
yeah, I think it's the power, right? And look, lighter vehicles climb, more easily. They can often hook up and get that traction on stuff. Where if you're weighted down, if it's vertical, near vertical, that weight, is fighting your horsepower.
I think there's a solution for that.
More horsepower? Yeah.
I don't want to go down that road.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk anymore now.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know. Tell us, what some notable examples, right? We were on that trail and we were in a situation. We were with, I don't know, 7 other rigs.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, we could use a high lift. Who has a high lift?
Nobody
had a high lift.
And we ditched ours because generally.
Well, I have one in the trailer.
Right.
Right in the toolbox on the trailer. I have one back at the air down or camp. I have a high lift.
But we ditched them because generally someone always has a high lift.
And nobody had a high lift.
Nobody. So it might have been 9 of us, 7 to 9 of us.
Yeah, and we could have used one for sure.
Yeah, it would have probably changed some things. So.
So yeah, what do you carry? It's a must-have.
Yeah, tell us what your must-haves are. You know who you are.
And what do I leave back at the...
And we're not talking about beer and your ice chest. Like, really? Or do you just will with us and know we got you covered?
Yeah. Because, now at this point, there's stuff that we do leave back at the trucks.
Yeah.
The high lift, spare tire. We don't carry spares on the trail.
Nope. Enough plugs for anything, but yeah, no spares. That's crazy weight for sure. All right, well, give us your comments. That'll be good. I like that a lot. So, yeah, it's good.
All right.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Thanks for sticking around if you did. And we'll see you out on the trails.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later.